presentation. I'll be talking about generally solar, grid-tied solar systems, how they work, and specifically for farm applications. I'll go through an example of a farm we recently did, which not only received the NYSERDA grants, federal grants, but also USDA grant. So why agriculture, why solar, why does it fit now? Number one of the best things about solar and producing your own electricity, whether it's wind, but renewable energy on site, is it'll stabilize your energy costs. Energy costs are going up and down. You can guess how much more it'll cost you next year, but can't really be sure. But when you're producing your own electricity, you know how much of it is under your control. Solar also costs are at an all-time low. As volumes of panels go up, panel production, the cost of panels go down. So our solar equipment is lower, and also incentives. Right now, incentives are looking pretty good. NYSERDA recently stabilized their incentive program for a period of about 5 years. So we know what NYSERDA incentives are going to be. This year, a Treasury grant of 30% was renewed, which is great. We were a little bit nervous, but for another year, you get a 30% lump sum from the federal government on renewable energy. And also, there's a USDA renewable energy grant that will cover up to 25%. I'll run through at the end a case study of a farm in Niagara County, which we work with, and they took that USDA grant, and it really did a fantastic job. They get the system paid back in about 3 years with it. So very briefly about our company, Solar Liberty is a turnkey installer. That means we do everything. We do the paperwork for you. We do all the building permits, installation, equipment, everything. It was co-founded by two brothers in 2003, Adam and Nathan Rizzo. They're right from this area. They're from Jamestown. We've got a lot of installations here in Chautauqua County, Cattaraugus County, because that's where they kind of got started and had their first connections. Nathan's NAPSEP certified. Also Brendan in our office, he's NAPSEP certified. So these are installers that know what they're doing. We've been growing pretty quickly. We're working all across the state now. We're also working in other states and in Ontario. We have a foundation, Paige Mecca, who's in our office. She founded the Solar Liberty Foundation, which is doing work in Haiti and in East Africa. And currently we're working on the largest solar projects in New York State. A big project for SUNY Buffalo, 1.1 megawatts. It's about 5,000 panels. We completed an NFTA bus garage that had 1,000 solar panels on it. And we're working on the Rochester Airport right now. So just very quickly, the main thing I want to point out about how solar works is there are no moving parts. Here's a solar panel here. It doesn't look like the traditional blue panels that you're used to. Sure, blue panels are great for larger commercial things, but on houses, people want something that looks a little more aesthetically better. So there's a 210-watt sun power panel. Basically, sunlight activates this part of a solar cell. Part of it's positive, part of it's negative. Sunlight hits the middle, electrons start moving around, electricity starts flowing. No moving parts, no maintenance. These things have a 25-year warranty. The panels have a 25-year warranty. They'll slowly degrade over time in power output. This is silicon, but they're warranted from the manufacturer to have a certain minimum level of power output for quite a while. So the power is produced in the solar cell. You can barely see the cells in this one, but in a traditional blue panel, you can see all the cells. A module or a solar panel is a collection of cells. Power is produced, accumulated in one panel, comes out of wires in the back. Cells are arranged in arrays. You can see here there's an array, back there, back there, back there, all tied into a single system. This had 1,000 solar panels in a bus garage. And all of the electricity is made within the silicon, so no moving parts. It does degrade, as I said, but there's a 25-year power production warranty. It's quite predictable. Quickly, how it works to have a grid-tied system. Previously we talked about net metering with wind. It's the same thing with solar. Electricity is produced by the panels. The one major piece of equipment other than your solar panels to pay attention is your inverter. DC electricity is produced here, turns into AC. First thing it does is go into your building, your home, the building the meter is connected to. So it first goes into the electrical system of that building, use up as much as you need. Anything left over goes back out onto the grid, and you get a one-to-one credit for what you produce. Your numbers simply go back. So it's not just how many kilowatt hours you've produced, but also kilowatt hours, the tax on it, the delivery charge, all the fees and everything. It's just simply your total end of the month net usage is lower. Typically, what you find in a home, for example, if they're suited to cover their whole usage, or generally, typically with a home, you'll produce much more than you, in the summertime, probably more than you use. You build up credits, it'll show on your bill how many credits you've built up over the summer, and then in the winter, you use up your credits. It's usually how most people do it. There are different ways to mount solar panel systems, not only on the roof. Rooftops is what you've seen. Has anybody here seen solar installations around this area? Were they roof? Were they pole mounted? Were they? Pole. Pole? Roof? Well, I'll run through four different ways that we mount solar panels. Roof is most common because it doesn't require any extra space. You've got a nice southern exposure. We can also look at east-west. Southern exposures are the best. So they're on a racking system. The panels are actually underneath here. There's a racking system that holds the panels in place. The angle of the roof is what you have to work with. That's the angle of your array. Snow does tend to build up a bit here because it'll freeze in between the joints. And the higher the pitch your roof, the more readily the snow will come off with gravity. That's a pitched roof, one of the more common. Pole-mounted systems then. Here on one pole we put an array. In this case it looks like 12. There's 12 panels on each of these poles. 8 to 12 are typically on a single pole. Then the poles are connected into a single array, and with these you could adjust the angle. Typically we sell manually adjustable ones. They have those fancy trackers that'll watch the sun, but what we find is those things are so expensive that you're better off just simply adding a couple extra panels for the price. But these can be manually adjusted throughout the year, so if you want higher efficiency, you just go out and you click them a little bit, and that's all there is to it. Ground-mounted systems take up more space, and if you have the space, this is a great one. Here, the panels are most often in a single panel in a row, and then multiple posts link them in the ground. Here they shed, we took this photo just a week ago actually, one of our customers in Lancaster, and a lot of the rooftop systems had some crusts of snow all over them. When we took it, this is exactly the way it looked. You don't even see footprints around there. It was just clean from snow completely. This is one of the best systems for that, if you have the space for this larger ground-mounted array.